Hi, I'm Eric Lanask. We're here at Editor's Day in Santa Clara. Joining me now from Podsystem is Sam Colley. Thanks for being with us, Sam. Great to have you here.
No worries.
So, who's Podsystem? Tell me about the company.
So Podsystem is an MVNO of mobile data connectivity for, well, originally the M2M space and now more so in the IoT space. And we, over the years, have been working very closely with customers, and we've seen how the market's kind of been evolving. And so what now we're trying to do is create products for the customers that kind of cater for those needs and really try and look to provide them with something that gives them longevity, reliability, and redundancy in their solution from a connectivity point of view, and also the flexibility to change as and when they feel free.
So what has changed or what has evolved in the market that has created a need for you to do that?
I think, one of the biggest changes, obviously, recently in the last 5 years is this kind of going from M2M to IoT. And now there is an abundance of different connectivity options out there and available for people. And also the kind of like global reach of the industry now. You can be an American manufacturer of hardware or an American M2M IoT company, but you can be selling your product in, Africa, Latin America, all over the world. So, from our point of view, from a connectivity point of view, there's a lot more opportunity, but also opportunity to help our customers serve other markets and do it in a reliable and cost-effective way.
So, explain why do you feel that it's better? Why? Obviously, there are plenty of mobile operators out there.
Yep.
Why can't customers just use those operators? What's better about going with somebody like Podsystem?
So I think through being an MVNO ourselves and having to deal with big networks and have relationships with the networks is that you are slightly beholden to them, and they do a good job in what they do and things, but you lose that kind of flexibility or ability to kind of change quickly if the market changes or if your customer needs change. And so what we've tried to do or trying to do or we are doing is basically pulling together various different IMSIs, and we have an application that we've developed for our SIM card that allows us to do this, that basically allows customers to select the best price at that time or the best service for them at that time. So say, for example, it was T-Mobile. And then if, say, a year down the line, the market conditions change and maybe AT&T is offering a better service in the US, then, instead of them having to go and change the physical SIM card, as long as we've got an IMSI that provides that service, we can do that OTA for them. And so they, no longer have, we give them the SIM, it's their SIM essentially, and even the ability to go to a different provider of connectivity, and we'll give them whatever the codes they need to do that, and they can switch us out. So it's kind of making sure that the customer is always the one in control of their solution, because essentially that's their bread and butter, that's what's making them money, and that's what we're there to help them do essentially.
So by virtue of that, are you then able to offer a better, more redundancy when it comes to connectivity needs, and offer how often or how quickly would customers be able to make some of those changes? When do they need to?
Yeah, so it really depends on I guess, the conditions of the market and who they're using. But the product, the application that we've developed for our SIM has two different kind of, I guess, arms. So it can be, lots of our customers work in like Latin America or Europe, and therefore they're crossing borders all the time, and therefore, they're always changing network providers. So it can just be that, when they cross a border, they just get a different IMSI because it's a better rate. But in terms of the redundancy question that you asked, I mean, essentially what it allows us to do on the application is, they could have a primary IMSI on, say, T-Mobile, but if T-Mobile have a network outage, the logic of the application, we can put another one behind it and say, okay, if there's no connectivity for 15 minutes, fall back onto the secondary IMSI for 24 hours and then try and reconnect. So what it means is if there's like a network outage, then they're protected against that. So in terms of redundancy, it can really help offer redundancy, especially in remote applications like agriculture or anything like that.
Now, for you mentioned customers who work across borders. So when you've got international or global customers, it also seems like you're able to offer a consistency of working with one provider, one company, as opposed to having to work with multiple carriers going from country to country. Exactly,
yeah. So we certainly market ourselves more as a global MVNO, and people want one throat to choke.
Sure.
Especially with all the consolidation going on in the market now. I mean, between kind of like hardware, connectivity, software, it's all kind of coming together, and the likes of Verizon said they want to own the whole value chain and things like that. But people do just want one connectivity provider. They don't want to be dealing with several platforms, several APIs.
Sure.
All that costs money to integrate and everything like that. So, from that point of view, that's certainly what we're trying to do.
Do you have partnerships or specific hardware vendors that you work with as well, or are you completely agnostic?
So we don't have kind of formal partnerships where we're saying we don't sell the hardware. So what we do is we have a network of partners, both software and hardware, in place that essentially through them, if someone comes to us and say, hey, we need some hardware, we're like, what type of hardware do you need? And we're like, okay, speak to these 5 guys. We don't want to be telling people they have to deal with these guys or these guys. It's up to them, but we'll give them the option. And it's just kind of informal relationships with kind of hardware providers that we know of good quality. We've tested our stuff with, so our customers feel confident that they can go and get the hardware, install it. It's going to work with our services, and it helps them get to market quicker.
I'm sure you've seen many of the same reports and predictions as far as the growth of IoT over the coming years. How is that going to impact Podsystem?
I think, it's going to impact us in several ways. I mean, the most important way is it means there's more market share for us, obviously, and therefore, we can get more customers and increase our revenue and continue, the R&D that we're doing at the moment. But I mean, at the same time, it brings more competition, which obviously we need to be aware of, which is why, we want to try and offer something slightly alternative to our main competitors at the moment. And I mean, from a competition point of view, is also different types of connectivity and things like that. Obviously, you've got like Wi-Fi, you've got low-energy Wi-Fi, you've got Sigfox, you've got all these new kind of things coming out that are essentially threats. But then, at the same time, they, for mobile applications that go to country or even state to state in America, lots of those aren't very practical. So, if you can create a product that is, very attractive to the customer and offers them that flexibility that when, the kind of cheaper low energy ones aren't available, and I think, you're always going to have, one foot ahead of the others. I mean, right now, everyone's still very focused on, connectivity providers like our competitors, like your Cores and wirelesses of the world. But I think, with the launch this year at CTIA of our new product, Freeway, it certainly, we think, will offer an alternative in the marketplace.
So you've referenced your competition in the market a few times. Certainly there are a lot of well-known carrier brands out there that businesses know well. So how do you reach? How do you get in front of your potential customers when you know that there are all those household names out there?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the toughest things about having open tier in the States is exactly that, and the brand awareness side of things. In Europe, it seems that people are less kind of influenced by the brand, and they'll just, if it looks good on paper, they'll have a go. Whereas here, there are maybe 4 or 5 big brands here in the US doing what we're doing, and that is definitely the biggest challenge. And so that's why I think as we discussed earlier, having hardware and software partners who refer people to us is a great way of kind of getting your name regarded or well regarded. Because if a well-known hardware manufacturer or a well-respected hardware manufacturer is saying, "Hey, try these guys out," then that's that kind of barrier breached.
Right.
But it's still not always easy because they're still comparing how long you guys are going to be around, how long you've been around for. It's never easy, but I certainly think the proof is in the pudding. So once we have our customers, they don't tend to go anywhere. We're very customer focused, so that's kind of what we're trying to do.
And certainly 15 years, the company's no spring chicken either, so you've fortunately got that to fall back on as well.
Yep.
Sam, thank you so much for being here with us.
No worries.
I'm Eric Lanask in Santa Clara.